Hello, everyone. Welcome to our April 2026 book club. And I'm super excited tonight because the book that we read for this month has just been a huge delight. I loved every single thing about it. And I know you guys have too, because you have been sending us messages and questions. So we don't want to keep you waiting. Before we dive into the discussion of Definitely Maybe Not a Detective with Sarah Fox. So, welcome to any new members we have. I'm Lisa Harrison, and I'm here with my beautiful co host, Brenda.
Yep.
And, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say good evening, everybody. And this is my first book club with no glasses.
I know. I hesitated to say I'm with my co-host's twin. Like I feel like you have an alter ego now. It's like Brenda by the book with the glasses, and now you're like Brenda with no glasses.
Oh,
We'll have to
but
think of your alter ego's name.
that's right. That's right.
Let us know in the chat what you guys think it should be. Okay, I can't go rogue at the beginning because this book is too
Well, I
good
think
and
it's too late. That
we gotta
horse has left the barn.
gotta dive in. So, without further ado, Brenda, please introduce our special guest tonight.
I would be happy to. We are just so delighted to have Sarah Fox with us tonight. Sarah is the author of the USA Today bestselling Pancake House Mysteries, as well as the Music Lovers Mysteries, the Literary Pub Mysteries. You may see a theme occurring here. The True
I'm
Confections Mysteries, and the Magical Menagerie Mysteries. She was born and raised in Vancouver, British Columbia, where she developed a love for mysteries at a young age. When not writing novels or working as a legal writer, she is often reading her way through a stack of books or spending time outdoors with her English Springer Spaniel. So it's my pleasure tonight to welcome Sarah Fox to the book club.
Yay, welcome, Sarah.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. We've been so excited about this.
Thank
We
you.
loved Definitely Maybe Not a Detective from the cover to the title to the book to the characters. We're super excited to discuss this book tonight.
I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you.
Well, let's kick things off with, of course, we start out with no spoilers. So I just wanted to kick things off by saying, definitely, maybe not a detective it was just such a fun read, like Lisa said. I mean, yes, it was a cozy mystery, but it was full of these quirky characters and the most endearing, I would say, accidental detective. I just couldn't put it down. And sometimes we ask the author, who would play this person or who would play that person in the movie. But I tell you, this gave me truly the vibe of like a play on stage with all of these quirky characters and their strange behavior. So that's my 2 cents worth. So, but we're going to ask you in a moment for a summary for those who are tuning in just for the spoiler free time. But I want to remind our book club members, put any additional questions for Sarah in the chat. We'll be monitoring it. And as always, we're spoiler free until 7:15, but after that, anything goes. So once again, Sarah, welcome.
Thank you
And
so
could you give
much.
us a spoiler free summary?
Sure. So definitely maybe not a detective is about Emerson Gray. She's 28-year-old woman who's living in a seniors only apartment complex, even though she's 28. Um, they had a lack of tenants, so they bent their rules, and she's raising her 7-year-old niece. She's down on her luck. Um, Struggling with, let's say, career choices and things like that. And her ex-boyfriend stole most of her life savings. So basically, that's where she is at the start of the story. And then her best friend comes up with this idea to get back at her ex, scare him into returning her money by making him think that Emerson has hired a private detective to gather information about him to take to the police. And her best friend even has these fake business cards made up. And there's a bit of a mishap with the business cards, so they end up out in the wild. And then the building superintendent at the apartment complex ends up murdered. And Emerson's very sweet elderly neighbors, one of them becomes a suspect. And everyone now thinks she is a private detective because of these business cards that got out. And they want her to help and solve the case. And then there's also this mysterious, handsome stranger, um, who happens to be named Wyatt, and the name of the private detective agency, the fake one, is Wyatt Investigations. And so he ends up sort of inserting himself into the investigation, and chaos ensues basically with the nosy neighbors and just everything. And I had so much fun writing it, and hopefully, I hope people just have a lot of fun reading it too.
Oh, well, we absolutely did. Thank you so much for that summary. And I have to say, I'm like Lisa. I don't know about you guys, but this is just the most awesome cover. It's kind of this mishmash, like it's sort of a throwback comics. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but it is just awesome. Could you tell us how it came to be?
Oh, well, somebody far more talented than I was responsible for that. They sent me basically, I guess, a sketch first, for approval. And of course, I loved it. And so we just sort of went back and forth for a few finer details to make sure that Wyatt looked like Wyatt and Emerson looked like Emerson, or close enough. And yeah, and then they came back with the color version, and I was just wowed because I mean, I love blue and purple and pink to begin with, and so I just love how bold it is and just captures the essence and the hearts. And even the interior design, I love. I think it's the most
Yes.
detail I've had on any other book. I've got this page with the magnifying
Yes.
glass and the hearts and the footsteps. I just, yeah, I think they did an amazing job, and I really, there's no credit for me for that. So it was all of the art department. They're amazing, and I'm just so lucky.
You did a fabulous job. Um, so we have a couple of comments already. Lisette said she loved the footprints at the chapter. Lots of people love the cover. And well, I'll save that one till after. We do have one I'll ask after. But the literary pub mysteries are also amazing. So we have people that are fans of
Oh, thank
in the
you.
chat as well. So we might ask you about that as well later on. Um, this book for me, it was so great. Like I loved the description of well, the cover drew me in. I love the description of it. I was like, ooh, a rom-com like mystery. I'm like, that's perfect. That's what I need. There was so much humor and laugh out loud moments. So with it being like a mix of romance, comedy, murder, I'm sure it was hard to classify like cozy mystery, rom-com. Brenda said rom-com mystery, like is it one word?
Home Street?
Rom-com mystery?
I've heard the word
So
romistry from a publisher
oh,
too.
mystery. I haven't heard that one. So, what are the rules for this genre for you? And do you feel the mystery must always take a back seat to character growth in a book like this?
For this one, I felt, I guess there was not as many rules as my other cozy mysteries. I don't actually call this one a cozy mystery. I know some people do, but for me, my other cozy mysteries are very like traditional cozies, and they have all like the hallmarks. This one I kind of it's not that far from a cozy, it's just doesn't have all of those things. So in that sense, it was a little more freedom. Not that they ever feel constrained by those hallmarks, but um I just always wanted to write a mashup of just lots of fun, romance and mystery. I always love to have a romantic subplot in my cozy mysteries, so it was just more, I guess, making them more even that way, more balanced between the mystery and the romance. And I just had so much fun with it, and I can't really remember the rest of your questions. Sorry.
No,
I
that
think
was
that just about covered
yeah.
it.
That was it.
Okay.
That's great. Thank you. Brenda, do you want to ask your question next?
I do, but I wanted to follow up on that a little bit. Which, as far as the part of the story, which part of it came first to you? Was it in your mind? Like, did you create the mystery first, or did you create the romance?
So I knew that I wanted to write a rom-com mystery for quite a while, before I even knew it was a thing before like Finley Donovan became big and all that. I just didn't have the idea. And when the cozy mystery market was kind of dipping, so I was talking with my agent about what we should do next. And I told her I want to write this rom-com cozy, and we were going back and forth, and she's like, well, what if you do something along the lines of Remington Steele? And I'd never seen Remington Steele. I'd heard of it. So I just read the log line for the show, just like the one sentence summary on the Internet Movie Database. And I was like, oh, that kind of sparked the back and forth of who's in charge of this agency. That's where I got that idea. And then I sort of built on that. I knew at that point that it was going to be these two people solving mystery with this sort of back and forth, like my name's on the business card, it's my agency, but my name's on the, back and forth, one saying the one.
Oh,
So that is where it started really. And then years ago, I saw an episode, like ideas come from all these different places. So I saw an episode of House Hunters where it was like this young guy in his 20s, and he wanted to buy his own place because he was living in this apartment building for seniors, and he was like the only young person there. And they kind of played it up a bit, they showed him playing Go Fish with all these old ladies and everything. And I just had it in my mind like that would be a really funny idea for a story. And I kind of stored it away in my brain for a few years. And so when I was thinking about this new idea, I was like, maybe I can bring that in. And then that's where the Deco Mirage came and all the senior citizen characters came to life.
Loved it. I loved the character. Like I was like, I want to work for Wyatt Investigations and live in the senior home. Like I want the neighbors to bring me, you know, the
Cookies.
bakeries and cookies and all the fun things.
yeah, you do until you see the dead body, and then it'll be
Right. That part. Okay, we are right at almost at spoiler time. So
okay.
I need to watch Remington. I think I need to go watch Remington Steele. I've never seen
I
it.
know, I feel
Yeah,
like I do
I
too.
feel like I should too. I actually
And
had
how
one
cool
reader
is
come and say, "Oh, I got really got some Remington Steele vibes from this." I was like, "Oh, okay, you noticed that one
well,
thing,"
then you
because
did
I've
right.
never even seen it, but just that little line, yeah, that's where it came
That's so
from.
cool. And plus the house hunter thing, that's really neat.
Yeah.
Well, we're close enough to spoiler time, so I'm going to go ahead and call it and say um, spoilers are okay. So if you haven't read the book, it's time to mute or come back and watch the rest by recording, which anyone can do. That's one of our cool things about the episode. So one of the things that really struck me, Sarah, is that she's dealing with all this grief and
Mhm.
then suddenly has responsibility for her niece, a 7-year-old. And she's living in this seniors only building that you've already talked a little bit about. How did you balance the heavy sort of emotional stakes with the lighter rom-com tone of the fake detective agency? Because I got to tell you, there were some really hilarious moments.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
glad. Yeah, it was actually easier in this book than the second book in the series, which I've just been doing edits on. Mostly because book two a lot of it takes place in a funeral home. And it's hard to balance like funeral home humor with someone who's still grieving a loss. And I did find that quite tricky, and it took a bit of work to get the balance there. In book one, I knew I just felt like if there were some moments where she was dealing with heavier things, it instead of having it sort of all one level, just funny, 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 I feel like if you have these other moments, it does almost make the funny times more enjoyable, and also just gives it more depth to the characters. Um, And it just kind of felt natural when I was coming up with the characters. I knew she was going to be dealing with something, and that's just sort of where it all came from. It's like she's kind of scattered and chaotic, but at the same time, she's not like an airhead. She's got a lot going
Yeah.
on, and she's just trying to do her best in this difficult situation, which then just gets crazier. So that was basically how it happened. And yeah, I did definitely found it easier to balance in book one.
Well, and just to
So,
follow up, oh,
oh,
go ahead, Lisa.
that kind of leads into a question we have from the chat. You said book one. So does this mean Lori would like to know, did you start this planning on a series? And we all are like wanting it to be a series.
Yes, it was supposed to be a series, and my contract was for 2 books, so it's definitely going to be 2 books, and I would really love it to be more. So yes, book 2 is written. I'm just reviewing the copy edits this week, and I believe it's supposed to come out next January, like first week of January. So basically 1 year exactly since from this one. And book 2 is going to be called We Are Never Ever Solving This Murder, which to
Yeah.
me just feels very Emerson.
Oh my gosh, that's the best news. We had so many
I love
people
it.
say, is this a series? Oh, I hope this is a series. I really want this to be a
Oh,
series.
I'm
I was
glad.
like, I really, yay. And I love that new title. Thank you for
Thank
sharing
you.
that with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I did want to ask, kind of another follow-up to the heavy and light
Mhm.
theme. The the threat of her parents taking Livy away plays a pretty big role in the book.
Yeah.
And I just have I've got to turn this into a question, but I have so much empathy for Emerson, and it's such a very real problem. Like it's very relatable.
Mhm.
So, how did you decide to bring that aspect into the fake detective story?
I think I'm not sure that I entirely planned that. I think it just sort of happened when I
Mm-hmm.
started writing her mom, and just kind of this bit of a struggle between them. And I think, it's not that her mom is evil, it's just like she's got her grief too, and she wants to cling to Livy because that's all she's got left, she feels, of her son, and they're both wanting to cling to her, and Emerson's trying to honor her brother's wish that she look after Livy, and but also she's really doubting herself. And I think that it just sort of kind of naturally came about that way in my head. Sometimes, yeah, sometimes things I can definitely trace where they came from, and other times they just sort of come to life in my head, and I think that was one of those.
Oh, that's
It really
awesome.
added, yeah, it really added to the story because I feel like Emerson was so relatable and she was so smart. And that was one of the things I loved about her. And actually, I loved all the characters. It was great character development
Thank
in this
you.
book. I feel like you could have little spin-off novellas about like Leona deciding she wants to go back into, like just a little
Dubious.
Persepolis.
bit starring. But I do want to mention one character that really just stole my heart that I loved so much was Theo.
Mm,
She's a teenager with cerebral palsy and has a wheelchair, and she's smart, she's witty, she's truly a force of nature, or a force to be reckoned with. But even so, I'm sorry, representation is so important. And I especially appreciated seeing such a strong, fully realized young woman in Theo. So, was there someone who inspired her character, or can you share how Theo came to life? I cannot today.
I think in terms of her personality, she just sort of took on the life of her own.
Mm.
I knew, I mean, when I was in elementary school, we had a class of kids who had cerebral palsy, and they were sort of, they had their own class, but then they would come in to other classes as well. And I spent a lot of time with them, and I became very close with a couple of them. And so that's something that, you know, I had in my past of deep friendships with people with cerebral palsy, and they had it much more severe than Theo. So I think just because there are so many different, I guess, degrees of cerebral palsy, it presents itself in different ways. And it just, I really like the fact that it's doesn't define her. You know, she's still,
Yeah.
I mean, who's really in charge of Wyatt investigations? It's probably Theo,
It's
right?
Theo.
Yeah. She totally gave me like Veronica Mars vibes, and that's like one of my favorite all-time shows.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that character of Veronica Mars because she was a young detective and she was really smart. And she, you know, was kind of ahead of her time and did the investigations. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I love her. So, like, I really loved that
Thank
character.
you. And I feel
So,
like Emerson kind of needed someone who was going to push her into doing
yeah,
these things
Mhm.
because she wasn't
for
really
sure.
fully committed herself. So I think that was sort of a driving force for that as well.
Yeah. We have a comment that I want to read from the chat from Leah. She says, it's not a question, but I need to comment that I was so thrilled when Wyatt did not have a totally easy early life because it made him seem that a romance between Emerson and him was more of a possibility than his being the son of a famous uh, novel
Supermodel. Yeah. Oh,
supermodel.
thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, with him, I knew pretty much right away that I wanted there to be more to him than just um, you know, good-looking rich guy. Um, I wanted that to be like what the world sees, but that there's a lot
Yeah.
more behind that. And that's and it also gave him that sort of mysteriousness at the beginning because he's obviously holding things back, and because
Yeah.
he wants her to see him for him and not his name, not his mom, not his money and all that stuff. So yeah, that was to me a really important part of the character.
I agree. And I think it's so important because it's so easy. Like people judge people all the time, but when you see people that are well off or they have money, you assume they never had a struggle. You assume they're like a trust fund kid and oh, you're just rich and you can do whatever you want. And you don't know their story or how they got
Yeah.
there or how hard they worked to get there. And it's just not something we see often where you're misjudging. It's kind of like someone in that position is typically the stereotypical what you think someone in that position would be.
Mhm.
So that was I think that was a great character story for Wyatt as well.
Thank you.
And keeping on the character train, the residents of the Mirage apartment complex, they stole the show sometimes. Was there any real life quirky neighbors that inspired them for the community, or did you just want to create some cool, chaotic support system for Emerson? And then for to take it a step further, for those watching, let us know who your favorite resident was in the chat. We're curious to know what side character did you love?
I first I just wanted to have some nosy neighbors, and they sort of came to life that way. And um, yeah, Leona, she really pop- took on a life of her own. But then actually, when I started writing, Bitty Dover, she didn't exist.
Oh,
And then
Oh,
I was doing some family research, just on the side for fun, and I can't remember. Oh, I know. It was familysearch.com. If you have a family tree on there and you can click on this link, it's like, who are your famous relatives? And if you've done some work, it will automatically figure out who you're
um,
connected to, and it will tell you all these famous relatives. And so I was looking at mine, and if I'm related to all these famous people, so like everyone else is too, right? It's not nothing special about me, that's for sure. And so I discovered, I was like, well, Princess Diana is like my 13th cousin or something like that, because, really distant thing. And I was joking with my mom one day because she was like, oh, I have these sweet peas you can plant in the garden. They're called Spencer. She's like, they're named for the Spencer family because they were taken from their estate. And I was like, oh, you mean my family's estate? And so I was just joking around, like, I thought, wouldn't it be hilarious if someone was like so distantly related to Princess Diana, but they like can't stop telling people about it. And so that's where Biddy came from. So I was like, okay, I have to write this character into the book, and then she just can't stop dropping it into every conversation.
I loved it. And then like the misquote, they were like,
Yes.
wasn't that Betty White that said that? And she's like, oh.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
He
I don't
got it
think
from
she
my
ever
cousin.
I don't think she ever
Yeah.
actually gets a quote right.
Yeah.
It's always somebody
Which
else.
just makes her more endearing. Well, I'm curious too. There were so many funny instances of these quirky characters, and even though it's sort of, it sort of starts the suspense about who killed the super. What the scene where Mr. Is it Nagy? Because I'm reading it, I don't know pronunciations.
Yeah.
Nagy. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, him running around, with the croquet mallet just was hilarious to me. And then, of course, I felt bad for laughing because, he dies. And he's the one who's, but I'm curious what our book club members think too. But that was one of the funniest scenes for me, was that scene in the lobby.
I think the pawn shop scene was hilarious. I was reading that during silent book club and I was not being very silent. I kept laughing out loud and people were looking at me like, what is she reading? I was like, I'm so sorry.
I think that was my favorite one to write. I was like,
Really?
I was writing it, I'm like, is it really legal to have this much fun when I'm writing? I was just, yeah, I really had a blast with that one.
That was a lot of
Yes, it
fun.
is legal. But I found
So
myself at that scene going, "Oh my gosh, did no one tell them this was not exciting?"
I loved it. It was so good. So we do have a couple of answers. Barbara says she loved Theo. Um, Lee said that the trip to the pawn shop was hysterical. Biddy is another one. Oh, the pawn shop scene is coming up. It's a mixture of both questions. So we have Theo fans, Biddy fans, and Leona.
We
So
need some sort of game, whether you're Team Theo, Team Leona.
yeah, we do
We'll
have
have
a
to work
couple of
on that.
questions about will we get to see these same characters in the second book? And I like this at the end, you refer to them as the senior squad.
Yeah.
So will the senior squad be making an appearance in the second book?
Yeah, some of them will. So, Carmen, Leona, and Biddy play a big role in book 2.
Yay.
There's like a minor appearance of Agnes and Mrs. In my head, I call her Mrs. Nagy because I've heard that name said that way in North America,
Okay.
but in the audiobook, it will be heard differently. We decided to go with something closer to the Hungarian pronunciation because we figured that's how she would have introduced herself. But I just say Nagy in my head. She makes a very brief
Cool.
appearance, but yeah, Carmen, Leona, and Biddy most definitely, and they are causing more chaos.
Yay.
Oh, can't wait. Well, I'd like to pivot just or wait, I'm sorry. Did you have a question, Lisa?
No, you're good.
Okay. I wanted to pivot for a minute and talk about the rom part of the rom-com. And Emerson and Wyatt's relationship. And at first when we meet Wyatt, we really don't know what his story is because he's being mysterious, but we don't really know why. And it's really kind of built on fiction from the start, like from both sides, because Emerson is not, has this fake detective agency, and then he's not telling her who he is. So I'm curious about whether you found it challenging to write a romance where the sort of the foundation that they have is a lie, and when was the right time to pull back the curtain on his background? Like, did you struggle with that?
Um, that's a hard question because I don't always
Oh,
know.
sorry.
No, it's okay. I don't think I found it that hard because I quite enjoyed them not knowing, Emerson wondering about him, and for the timing of it, I think it got to the point where, you don't want to keep it hidden too long, keep the reader guessing for too long, because then people might get annoyed, and there's a time when it needs to come out. And then it just really felt right that Theo already already knew. So, Emerson's wondering like, what's this big mystery? And Theo's like, duh, do you not know how to
I love
Google?
Theo.
Right. So
Oh, I
So
yeah, I
loved
kind
her
of found
so
it out.
much.
I know, I did too. So Emerson is a really interesting character too, and aside from the Rom part of the story, you know, she she's a fake detective. She's not the most invested person, she doesn't think of a lot of, clever things to do. But that makes her, to me, that makes her like authentic and endearing. So um was it important to you to keep her kind of that accidental detective rather than making her really adept at it, which really more Theo is?
Yeah, I feel like that was just really her kind of energy and just where she is in life. Like, she doesn't really know what she's doing. She's just struggling. Um, and she just kind of is a bit chaotic, but it's like she kind of is going to learn, I guess, or it's going to be a slow process, but to want to actually be a detective and to be, rather than just sort of being thrown into things, it's sort of like going to be a bit of a journey for her. I didn't want her to just automatically be, super detective and know how to do everything. So, and I think that really did help with having Theo to sort of direct things that way. So otherwise it would have been completely like off the rails, scattered. But yeah, I just felt like it's a bit of a journey for her, of not just with her job, but and being a parent and just everything. She's kind of got everything right now that she's trying to figure out. And so I guess in a way it's kind of like a parallel with her the rest of her life or something like that. Yeah, about just getting thrown into something in the deep end that you weren't expecting, and just trying to keep your head above water.
That's a good way to look at it.
I know. And I think, I mean, that's part of, she was very relatable,
Mm.
because we all have struggles and we all feel like we have our head above water at some point, something's going on. And um, yeah, she was great. So I have a question from Lee. She would like to know, how did you come up with the names Emerson and Theodosia? I think I pronounced that right.
Yeah. Um, it took me a while to figure out Emerson's name. Usually when I've come up with a character, sometimes I kind of have an idea of them in my head, sort of a feeling for them, and I have to go through names. Like, I go through lists of names on the internet or baby name sites and all that, and I just go through name after name after name. And when I find the right one, it's kind of like the characters in my head waiting for me to like figure it out. It's almost like
That's
they already
me.
know. Yeah, exactly. And so when I saw Emerson spelt with a Y, I was like, oh, click, and that's her. So that's
I
kind of
love
how
that
that
name.
happened. Theo, I think I knew I just wanted her to have like a short name that was not that common for a girl. And so I think that's sort of where that came about. And again, I think I was looking at name lists, and when I saw Theodosia or Theo, I was like, perfect. She just seemed like a Theo in my head.
She totally is.
I loved it. So another part of the book that I really enjoyed. I'm a big fan of speakeasies.
Mm.
I like to go to speakeasies if I'm in a new city and there's like a cool speakeasy. So I love that that was included. It was such like a big part of the setting or the book. So I wondered, were you inspired by any speakeasies, or is there a speakeasy in particular that you like that you've been to in real life?
I've never actually been to a speakeasy in the sense of a bar. I went to one that was for afternoon tea, but I think that was after I started writing this. And I just
Oh,
love the
neat.
idea of
That's
them,
even
of
better.
like secret entrance and just,
Yeah.
I don't know, there's just something about them. There's a certain
Mhm.
atmosphere and appeal. And I've always kind of liked that. And I love like the 1920s and just that era. So to be able to bring that into it, just, I don't know, that just seemed really fun to me. And I didn't even know at first when I started writing the proposal, I didn't actually know where the series was set, where the book was going to be set. It wasn't until I got my contract and I was talking with my editor and we decided, I just knew I was like, well, it needs to be somewhere that has a history of, the speakeasies and the bootlegging and all this stuff. So um, that's how we settled on New York. So, excuse me. Yeah, that's just something I love. So I was just happy to work it in there.
I loved it. That was great
Thank you.
detail. I was like, ooh,
You're speaking Lisa's language.
yeah.
Well, I hesitate to do this too soon, but I'm going to ask the mother of all spoilers. We'll ask about it anyway. Um, so this is a mystery, and she is supposed to be figuring out who killed Freddie, and then later who killed Hoffman. But I'm just curious, was it was it Bodie from the beginning, or was there ever other considerations? Because you sprinkled just you know, enough suspicion around that I feel like it was like it was like the spinning wheel. It's like it lands on Biddy today, it lands on, you know, Yolanda tomorrow. I just tell me more about that because I just found it fascinating.
Um, no, I think I knew that it was Bodhi. I usually, when I write a mystery, I usually figure out the killer, the victim, the motive first. I have been known to change my mind partway through, but usually not very often.
Mhm.
Um, and so I do try and come up with ways to sprinkle clues, and then to divert attention. So I knew that there was going to be someone that it seemed to be before him. So with Yolanda, there's going to be little clues that suddenly you think it's the aha moment with Yolanda,
Yeah.
Yes.
when then it turns out, oh, whoops, you think maybe this is the ending, that it's wrapping up the story, and then you're like, oh no, it's not. So yeah, I think I did know it was him. Um, I didn't plan for it to be so much of a love triangle. Um, if you can consider it
Interesting.
that. It's sort of um my publisher wanted more of that, my editor wanted more. So I did end
Mhm.
up having to write more of that aspect in. So for me it was more of a which guy is like the best. She's like, I'm attracted to Wyatt, but
Yeah.
maybe Bodhi is more of the reason, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? The logical choice, the safe choice,
Mhm.
and all this stuff, which of course in the end, obviously he's
It was
not. But
all fake.
so I was like, well,
I was
okay, I
like,
can have a bit of a love triangle, but it's going to be done by the end of the book because I really want the series to be more about Emerson and Wyatt. So yeah, so that's basically how that came about.
that's so cool. And I don't know, for those, let us know in the chat. Did you were you aware? Like, did you see that twist coming? Did you think it was Bodhi? Who did you think the killer was? I thought the killer was Biddy.
Oh, really?
And then when it was Yolanda, I was like, oh, twist. But I will say,
And I thought Yolanda was it when that happened.
yeah, you were like,
So
oh,
I didn't know it was Bodhi. I'll just straight up.
yeah, I didn't know it was Bodhi, but there was one part of the book. Well, when you're reading and you're coming
Mm.
along, you're like, oh, Team Bodhi, Team Wyatt, like that kind of thing. I was always Team Wyatt because there was just one thing the way Bodhi said it, and I read it, I didn't do audio, so it was how I read it or how I
Mhm.
interpreted the tone. When he said something about she was in the apartment with him and she was getting ready to leave and he had already said once, he's like, I'd love to see you again sometime, and then he was like, Emerson, really soon, like it just the way or something similar to like he wanted to see her quickly, but I was the way that I read it, I was like, no, he might be like low-key creeper. So I had my eye on him, like not she doesn't need to date him, there might be something, but I did not think he was the killer.
Okay. Yeah, I think like he was a little bit in my mind, like, yeah, like pushing a little bit because he was more using her really, like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
so there was a little bit of an undercurrent of that for sure. Yeah.
And the dead sibling thing, I was like, "Oh, he does they have a connection," and then you find out, like, that was fake. I'm like,
Yeah. He was
"Tricked."
playing her, yeah.
He played
Yeah.
her good.
Yeah.
He sure did. And she was so worried about Wyatt and making, you know, getting involved.
Yeah, no, and I think that also just kind of plays to her character as well, what she's already been through, because then she's just like she had a bad time with her ex who stole her money, and then she's thinking, well, maybe she's have some feelings for this Bodhi guy, and then he's a killer. So then she,
Right.
has some sort of trust issues with her own judgment and herself. So
That
which is
definitely would do it.
Yeah.
So it'll be wonderful to see how that sequel comes about and what happens. Is there any more that you can share with us? You said it was going to be out and you're doing edits now. It's going to be out in January 2027.
yeah. So it's basically they get their first actual client for Wyatt, like paying client for Wyatt Investigations. And this woman's brother started working at a funeral home, and then he started acting different, and then he ended up dead. So, and she thinks it was murder. So it was ruled an accident. So she hires Wyatt Investigations to look into this. And basically, they end up going undercover, especially Emerson, at this funeral home. And yeah, I shouldn't give too much away, but the senior squad does insert themselves into the investigation.
What a surprise. So did you have to do any research on, I mean, did you go visit any funeral homes or any, I'm sure
I
this will
didn't,
be for future discussion, but
yeah, I didn't
curious.
go visit anything, but I definitely um, did research online, just like different positions at a funeral home, what they do and the setup, and what else was I researching? Okay, well, I did a lot of research about something for that book, but I can't tell you what because that would be a major spoiler. But there is an aspect to the book I did have to do some research on for sure. Um, hmm, I'm trying to think what I can share without spoiling it, but hmm, just a lot of, yeah, the funeral home humor, which can be very funny, but there's also um it is a lot for Emerson, and she kind of has to really face
Mhm.
the grief and that sort of thing. Again, that brings up a lot for her. But it also, I feel like that also gives her a chance to connect with Wyatt more, because it's kind of for both of them, there's that history of grief, and sort of this case kind of brings that up for both of them. So it's also something they kind of bond over a bit too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well,
That will
I
be a
want to,
very interesting setting.
Mhm.
yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Thank
I'm
you.
so excited that it's going to be a series.
I
I
was
did
kicking
want to,
myself a bit
oh,
about choosing a funeral home for that
oh,
character, but I hope I've made it work in the end after working on the balance. So
I'm sure you have.
Yes, I'm sure
The
you have.
writing in this book was so good.
thank you.
Yeah,
Um,
very
I
clever.
did want to follow up. We had one member, Barbara, said she was suspicious of Bodhi,
Mhm.
but no one else thought that he was the killer.
Okay.
It was a good twist.
As long as I got
Um,
most people, that's good.
yeah. So we know that you write mysteries, you're great at writing mysteries, and now rom-com mysteries. One thing that we like to ask, what are you currently reading? And what's a book that you recently loved or a book that you recommend?
I'm currently reading a figure skating thriller called Blade by Wendy. Oh, I just saw her name. Wendy Walker, maybe. Anyways, her first name is Wendy. Maybe Walker with the second name. Um, I think it's a recent release because I'm the first person to get the book from my local library. I like had it on
Oh,
hold since it
yay.
still said on order, and so when I saw figure skating thriller, I used to figure skate, so that's why it caught my eye. Did
Oh
you?
my gosh. No, I'm
No?
freaking out on
Okay.
behalf of Brenda because she loves figure skating. She used to be a
Okay,
Figure
figure
skating.
skater.
yeah, so
So when you said that, I was like, oh, you
I still
guys are
follow figure skating all the
kindred.
time. And I actually haven't read a figure skating novel for a long time because I read a few many years ago, and it was just, when you know a lot about something and you read it and it's clear that the author knew
It's
like
all
nothing
wrong.
about it, it's hard.
Yeah.
So I sort of steered away from figure skating books. But then when I saw that the author was a former figure skater, I was like, aha, maybe I can give this one a try. So I'm about a
I
third of the way through, and it really has me sucked in. It's definitely like the dark side of figure skating, but it's also unfortunately very like this stuff really does happen, sadly.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's what I'm reading now. And I just finished two books that I really love actually. The Bodyguard by Catherine Center.
Oh,
Um,
Oh
yes,
yeah.
I love
that
that
was
book.
that was really good. And then I just finished right after that, The Blonde Identity by Ali Carter. So that
I
one's
loved that
really
book
fun.
as
Yeah,
well.
those are really good. So
Those
I'm
are
on a
good.
run of really good reads lately. So,
Very cool. One of our members confirmed it is Wendy Walker.
okay, thank you.
And I'll be
I
looking that one up
Yeah.
because I haven't read a figure skating mystery though. Or
Yeah, thriller. Yeah, I'd never heard of a
yeah,
figure
you
skating
said
thriller
thriller.
before either too. So it's definitely interesting. Yeah.
But Sarah,
Yeah,
just a
Brenda.
side note, I'm going
Mhm.
to see Stars on Ice on
Are you?
Tuesday, and all
Oh,
of the Olympic champions are in it, so I'm very excited.
is Kurt Browning still in it?
No,
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 he's
but
not.
no,
He was one of my favorites.
I
Is he
know, me
retired
too. And
now?
Scott Hamilton.
I think I was really shocked the other recently when I saw Kurt on TV, and I'm like, wait, you're getting old, and like, because to me he's been like around my whole life. Like, I actually have a signed poster on my wall just in my office here of Kurt. So he was a
Okay,
favorite.
offline we'll have to compare notes.
Figure
Oh
skating
goodness.
girls.
I know, right? Well, we never used to have anything coming around here, so it was very hard to
Oh yeah,
see or hear anything about it.
yeah.
So, Sarah, I wanted to ask you, how can readers connect with you, and where, if they want to get a signed copy of your book, where would you suggest they reach out to?
Signed copy of my book. I don't actually know. You know what I was just thinking the other day is that I should probably get some book plates made so that I
Hmm.
can send signed book plates out to people. So that's something I'm thinking about for the future. I'm most active on Instagram. So I'm the Wright Fox, but with Wright as in WRITE with underscores between the words. Um, I'm also on Facebook. I just forget to post on there as much as I do on Instagram, but I am there. And I do have a newsletter that people can sign up through my website, which is author.sarahfox.com.
Very cool.
I'm not that
I'm
great at
putting
sending out
your
newsletters though,
your
but
Instagram in the chat right now.
thank you. I do send out newsletters a few times a year. Definitely not
Wonderful.
once a month like some people do, but I'm not that organized. I just don't have that much to say, I guess. I don't know. But if I have a new book coming out, I do send out a newsletter.
You're saving all that good stuff for your novels. How about that?
Sure.
Yeah. And
Oh,
this
well, Sarah,
novel,
I can't believe that our time has passed by so
Oh,
quickly,
yeah.
but I want to give everybody another look at Definitely Maybe Not a Detective. It was fabulous, rom-commy mystery.
5 stars. My
Thank
favorite book
you.
I've read so far this year. I
That's
stand
nice.
by it very strong. I
Okay.
loved it. I loved everything about it. The
That makes
humor,
me
I,
very
I didn't
happy.
expect I'd laugh out loud so much. And I really loved it. So thank you for
Well, thank you, because
introducing us to a new series.
it makes me so happy to know that it has that effect on people. Because when you're writing it, sitting alone and writing it, you never know if people are going to feel the same way as you do. So that's really nice to hear.
Well, Sarah, we have enjoyed having you with us so much tonight. I can't believe that time passed by so quickly, but at least we know there's another one coming, and so we
Mhm.
could have you back
Yes.
That would be awesome.
another time. All right, take care. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for
Thank
inviting
you.
me
Have a great night.
too.
Oh my goodness, that was
Yay.
fun.
That was so fun. And I think what's really cool is she was a new author for me. And just a little behind the scenes, Brenda and we get referred a lot of books all the time, or authors will reach out to us, or Meg and the Friends in Fiction family will say, "Hey, do you guys know these?" We rarely just stumble upon a book or an author that was not something that came from the family. And when you say judge a book by the cover, this cover, I was looking at Cozy Mysteries. I saw this cover and I was like, oh, what is in the title? I was like, I need to know. And I was talking to Brenda when I looked at it and I was like, oh my goodness, you have to look at this. And then I sent it to her and we both read it and we're like, oh my gosh, we want to read this so bad. And it's so awesome that we discovered a new author to us that way, where we could just, I mean, that's part of the love of reading is finding
Right.
things on your own, and just, it was just fabulous. And it turned out to be great. So we hope you guys loved it as much as we did.
Absolutely. And Lisa, would you like to tell everyone what
What's
is
coming
coming
up
up?
with the book club, ladies? Our next book club is on May 18th with Wade Rouse. And that's what friends are for, which we are super excited about. We love
Yes.
Wade, and this is his first fiction book that is in his real name, that's not under his pen name, Viola Shipman. And this book has gotten a lot of praise. We know it's a great feel good story, so we're looking forward to discussing it with Wade on Monday, May 18th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Love that book. And after that, Brenda, what's coming
It's
up?
time. After that, it's time for another happy hour with Ron Block and a secret special guest. And for those who may be watching us for the first time, we have quarterly virtual happy hours with our rock star librarian, Ron Block. And we kind of chit chat and offer book recommendations. And Ron does a drink demonstration, and it's always just kind of casual casual, chatty fun. I'll just say that. The next one is June 4th. And then on June 15th, we will have, I've got to do a little drum roll while I'm doing my little magic here. On June 15th, we will have our fabulous Christy Woodson Harvey and Summer State of Mind on book club.
Can't wait for that one. I
Much
would love
anticipated.
to hold up my copy of that book, but if you have been following along on my Instagram, you may have seen that it disappeared and it was stolen by Mama
Who
Joy.
was the thief?
Mama Joy. I did my own sleuthing and it was my mom. So as soon as I steal it, I can't wait to read it. The mystery that was my mystery. I was looking for it. I'm like, wait, I know I have this book, and I'm like, hold
That's
it.
hilarious. All we need is your mom and some Pink Panther music, and
Mm-hmm. Gotta watch her around those arcs.
I know, right?
Another thing we wanted to highlight is it is National Library Week. So we want to give a shout out to all the librarians. We love libraries. And there's a certain librarian we like a lot. His name's Ron Block. So we love him and want to send him some love this week too. And speaking of libraries and librarians, that brings us to our April reading challenge prompt, which is to read a book that's been recommended by your favorite librarian. It's not too late to jump in on that challenge. We have about a week left of
Still
April.
10 days left.
Or 10 days. Yeah, more than a week. So if you haven't already, you can still join in and read your book that was recommended by a librarian. And
Okay. And Lisa, would you want to tell them about how to buy us a coffee?
yes. So Brenda and I do everything for book club funded by us. So if you like our content and you'd like to buy us a coffee or tea, for me, I'm a tea drinker. You can scan this QR code and donate any amount of your choosing. All donations are greatly appreciated and help support running our page, giveaways, shipping, things of that nature. So we appreciate everyone who's donated thus far. And if you feel it in your heart to donate, that's how you do it. You can just scan that and we appreciate it.
Yes, we absolutely do. It's been a labor of love, but a few dollars help to defray some of the shipping costs and other expenses we have to incur. So one other bit of business, two other bits of business. Keep watching for our Saturday giveaways. We do those once a month, and when we have an author take over the book club page, sort of take over, to tell us all about themselves and their work, and to have a giveaway. We've also kicked off a I cannot say it, bookish banter night. I'm going to have to practice that once a month, where one of our admin team members leads the discussion. And it just kicked off last week. We had a great night with Lisette leading the discussion. And our next bookish banter, I did it right that time, is on May 14th, hosted by Amber. So look out for that on the page and join us if you can. And with that, I will say thanks for joining us again and happy reading, everyone.
And I will say PB&J out.